Assalamualaikum and have a good day. This video we discuss about partial derivative. Okay, so partial derivative of a function of two variables. So the process is called partial differentiation, and the result is referred to as a partial derivative of f with respect to the chosen independent variable. Okay, so partial derivative which involving two variables, so we call it as a partial differentiation. So in a function, we have two variables such as x and y. Okay, so based on this definition, if z is a function of x and y, then the first partial derivative of f with respect to x and y are the function of f sub x and f sub y defined by derivative respect to x on f, which is the limit changes of x it is approaching to 0 for the function x plus changes of x, y minus function of x and y over changes of y. Okay, so based on this, we call it as a partial derivative respect to x. And partial derivative respect to y, it is based on the limit changes of y, it is approaching to 0 for function x, y plus changes of y minus function of x and y over changes of y. Okay, so when we talk about changes of y, so this is means that the change of y different of y. So we call it as a partial derivative respect to y. Okay, so this is a definition of partial derivative of a function of two variables. Okay, so look at this example, finding partial derivative. The question asks you to find partial derivative respect to x and partial derivative respect to y. Okay, so here we have this function, which is 3x minus x squared y squared plus 2x cubed y. Okay, so first we need to differentiate respect to x while y remain as a constant. Okay, so this is means that when you want to differentiate respect to respect to x, then y remain as a constant. Okay, so in a partial derivative, we use this notation, which is del x. So this one, it is represent for partial derivative respect to x on the function, which is 3x minus x squared y squared plus 2x cubed y. Okay, so as I mentioned before, when we want to differentiate respect to x, so y remain as a constant. So y itu akan jadi constant. So we constant on x, we differentiate respect to x on this function. Then here we have a derivative respect to x on 3x, we have 3. Derivative respect to x on negative x squared y squared, we have negative 2xy squared. And derivative respect to x on 2x cubed y, we have 6x squared y. Okay, so therefore, the answer here is 3 minus 2xy squared plus 6x squared y. Okay, so y dia akan jadi constant. Okay, so next, partial derivative respect to y on the function. So means that we need to differentiate respect to y on the given function. So the given function here is 3x minus x squared y squared plus 2x cubed y. Okay, so x remain as a constant. So maknanya dekat sini, kita nak differentiate respect to y. So x remain as a constant. So x akan jadi constant. So now we differentiate respect to y on 3x. So 3x is a constant. We have 0. Okay. So derivative respect to y on x squared y squared. We have a negative 2x squared y. Okay, and then plus with the derivative respect to y on 2x cubed y. So here we have 2x to the power of 3. Okay, so therefore, partial derivative respect to y on the given function, which is 3x minus x squared y squared plus 2x cubed y, it is equivalent with negative 2x squared y plus 2x to the power of 3. Okay. Okay, so next we look at example B, which is we have this function, which is natural log of x times cosine x squared y. Okay, so this is the given function. Alright, so first we need to find the partial derivative respect to x. So ini adalah notation dia. Kalau you nampak ada f sub x dekat bawah ni, maknanya dia adalah partial Okay, derivative respect to x. Okay, so kalau ada y, so maknanya dah ada partial derivative respect to y. Okay, so we use this notation. So this one represent for partial derivative. Okay, so we differentiate respect to x on the given function, which is natural log of x times cosine x squared y. Okay, so as usual, when you want to differentiate respect to x, so y remain as a constant. So y akan jadi constant. So we differentiate respect to x on the first step. So based on this, we identified that this is about product between two different functions, which are natural log multiplied with cosine x squared y, and both have x. Okay, so dua-duanya ada x. Jadi kita gunakan product rule. Product rule So product rule adalah UV prime plus VU prime. Okay, so first we differentiate respect to s on natural log of x. So we have 1 over x. Okay, so this one is about u prime. And this one is about v, which is cosine x squared y. And then this one, second step, we differentiate respect to x on cosine x squared y. This one, then here we have negative 2xy. Negative 2xy sine x squared y. And then multiply with with u. Okay. So this one is about v prime u. Okay, so we have 2xy times natural log of x times sine x squared y. Okay, so this is the answer for partial derivative respect to x on the given function, which is natural log of x times cosine x squared y. Okay, so bila you differentiate respect to x on cosine x squared y, it is actually you akan dapat jawapan dia adalah the answer here is differentiate respect to x on cosine x squared y. It is equivalent with negative sine x squared y. So inside here we have another function which is x squared y. So we multiply with the derivative respect to x on x squared y. Then here we have 2xy. Okay, so yang ini adalah this one is about derivative respect to x on x squared y. So you can dapat 2xy lah. So that is why the answer here is 1 over x times cosine x squared y minus 2xy times natural log of x times sine x squared y. Okay, so this is the answer. Alright. Okay, so next we differentiate respect to y on the given function. So our function here is natural log of x. Okay, natural log of x times cosine x squared y. Okay, so this one we no need to apply or to use product rule. Okay, kita tak perlu gunakan product rule. Sebab x remain as a constant. So, x jadi constant. So, bila you nak differentiate respect to y, x remain as a constant. Okay. Alright, so bila multiply with constant, so the constant is still there. Okay, so constant tu dia ada dekat situ. Dia stay this lah. Alright. Okay, so back to this one. We differentiate respect to y on natural log of x cosine x squared y. So you need to differentiate respect to y on cosine x squared y. So here we have actually you akan dapat natural log of x. Okay. So multiply with derivative respect to y on cosine x squared y. We have sine x squared y. Okay. So multiply with derivative respect to y on x squared y. So here we have x squared. Okay. So therefore the answer here is x squared. Okay, ada negatif kat tepi ni. Okay, so derivative respect to y on cosine x squared y, we have negative sine x squared y multiply with x squared. So this one, ini adalah derivative respect to y. So this one is a derivative respect to y on x squared y. Okay, so kita dapat x kat sini lah. Okay, so the answer here is a negative x squared times natural log of x times sine x squared y. Okay, so this is the answer. Alright. Okay, as you can see, so this is a notation for first partial derivative. So first partial derivative means that we differentiate respect to x or y for the first time. Itu kita panggil sebagai first order. Okay, first order. Right, so look at this one. So for z, z is a function of x and y. So the partial derivative respect to x denote as f sub x, and the partial derivative respect to y denote as f sub y are denoted by del x, okay, for the given function, and it is also equivalent with f sub x with the function s and y, and it is also equivalent with z sub x, and it is also equivalent with del z del x. Okay, so ini adalah notation dia. So katakan you tulis dalam bentuk begini betul, dalam bentuk begini pun betul, yang ni pun betul. Alright, so this is a notation for partial derivative respect to x. Okay, and the partial derivative respect to y, we have this notation. So as you know, so this is the notation for partial derivative. Dan semaknanya bila nak differentiate yang melibatkan lebih daripada satu variable, so kita gunakan notation yang ini. Ini kita panggil sebagai del. Okay. So derivative respect to y on f, it is also equivalent with f sub y, z sub y and del z del y. So ini memberi makna yang sama, iaitu a partial derivative respect to y. Okay, right, so next, the first partial evaluate at the point AB. So let's say we have a point AB. So we denote it as a derivative respect to x on z, okay, such that AB. So AB is a given point. Okay, so after you get the partial derivative respect to x or y, so you need to enter the value of x and y. So this is a represent for x, so this one is a represent for y. So you perlu masukkan nilai x dan juga y berdasarkan point yang diberikan ke dalam partial derivative respect to x and the partial derivative respect to y. Then you akan dapat nilai. Okay, alright, so these are the notation for first partial derivative. Okay, so let's look at this example, example 2. So this in this example, we need to find and evaluate partial derivative. Okay, so the given function here is x exponent x squared y. So the question asks you to find a partial derivative respect to x and y and evaluate each at the point 1 natural log of 2. Okay, so 1 here is x and y, natural log of 2 is y. So ini point So bila point dia adalah x and come and followed by y. Okay, so the first value is a x and the second value is a y. Okay, alright, so this is our function. So now we need to find the derivative respect to x. So when we want to differentiate respect to x, so y remain as a constant. Okay, so we differentiate respect to x on x exponent x squared y. So here we have exponent x squared y plus 2xy times x exponent of x squared y. Okay, so macam mana kita dapat jawapan ini? So yang ini kita gunakan product rule. Product rule So as you know, product rule is u v prime plus v u prime. Okay, so let our u is x and v is exponent x squared y. Okay, so bila you nak differentiate respect to x on x exponent x squared y, so dia akan jadi, okay, so derivative, tulis kat sini, del x for x exponent x squared y, okay, it is equivalent u v prime, so x derivative respect to x on v, so our v here is x exponent x squared y, and then plus with v u prime, so our v here is exponent x squared y, so multiply with the derivative respect to x on x. Okay, so we differentiate. So x multiply with the derivative respect to s on exponent x squared y. It is about exponent x squared y multiply with the derivative respect to x on x squared y. Okay, so yang ni pun you kena differentiate and then you multiply. And then we will have 2xy. Okay, 2xy. So for next term, we have v. So v state this, which is exponent x squared y. So multiply with the derivative respect to x on x, we have 1 here. Okay, so therefore the answer here is 2x squared y. So x times 2xy, we have 2x squared y. Exponent x squared y, and then plus with exponent x squared y. Okay, so this is the answer for partial derivative respect to x on x exponent x squared y. So you akan dapat jawapan ni lah. Okay, so next you need to enter value of x and y, where x here is 1. Okay, so s equals to 1 and y equal to natural log of 2. So you enter these values. Then here we will have 4.7726. Okay, so therefore the answer here is 4.7726. Alright, so next, partial derivative respect to y on the given function with the point 1 natural log of 2. Alright, so for this one, untuk yang ini, differentiate respect to y, so x remain as a constant. So this one no need to apply product rule because there is only one function of y, which is x exponent x squared y. Okay. Alright. So you differentiate respect to y on x exponent x squared y. So you differentiate yang ini. So s remain as a constant. Okay, differentiate exponent x squared y. Then we have x exponent x squared y. Multiply with x squared. So x squared, how do we get this one? It is based on the derivative respect to y on x squared y. This one yang atas ni. So bila ada function yang kecil-kecil tu, you kena jugalah you kena differentiate and multiply. Alright. Okay, so this one is quite easy. You just enter values of x and y. Then here we have this answer. Okay, so 1 to the power of 2. Okay. So exponential of 2, we have 2. So this is the answer.